Hello and welcome back to Best Bets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary alongside Newsday's Joe Manniello. Joe, how's it going?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Tough week for the both of us last week. Both went 2-3. Brings me to 7, 18-1, and you to 12, 13-1. So we have some work to do here in week six.
Might have to get some new hosts with these picks, but it's the NFL. Two weeks ago, we said that we weren't going to take the Giants and the Jets, and then last week I took the Giants and the Jets, and of course they didn't cover. So that's just the way the NFL is. You know, one week you say you're not going to do something, and then something happens, and then you do it, and it doesn't work.
Absolutely. So let's see if we're taking the Giants this week. Although I shouldn't speak too soon. So it's Giants Rams. They are hosting the Giants. They are hosting the Rams. The Rams are favored by 10.5 on the road in this game. So big number. But who do you like?
Yeah, I don't see how you can take the Giants here. It's a huge number, like you said, but they basically lost their whole offense against the Cowboys, and I don't see how they're going to score. You know, to cover this number, they're probably going to have to score around that 20. You know, you figure the Rams will get 28, 30 points. So they're going to need to score 17 to 20. So I just don't see it. The Rams are on extra rest after Thursday night. And they beat the Seahawks, and the Giants wish they had extra rest. And I just don't see how this game is close. Under Sean McVay, the Rams are 22-11 on the road. I'm pretty sure I looked that up before. So they're a good road team under McVay, and they get a lead. Forget about it. You know, it's 40-0 when leading at halftime. And I think Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. There's kind of a field day against the Giants secondary, which hasn't been that great. It's supposed to be one of the best units on the team, and they've been gashed all year. So I don't see this game being close. I mean, of course, the backdoor cover could be in play here, but you can't pick games based on that. So, you know, even at best for Giants, I could see like a 28-17 game, but I think it'll be more like 31-13, 34-17, maybe even 10. Like I don't see how the Giants are going to score close to 20 points in this game with backups at all the big positions. So Rams minus 10.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I can't take the Giants. They're just too beat up right now. There's so many question marks. I know Daniel Jones wasn't supposed to be practicing, but I think I saw a video of him throwing online. But I don't anticipate him playing, or, you know, I just think it's going to be a tough day for the Giants. Rams, their offense has just been unbelievable, and the Giants, unfortunately, have struggled against the pass. And I think Stafford could throw all over this defense, and it could get ugly quick, unfortunately. And I just don't think they have the offensive skill with, you know, all their guys out. And like their wide receivers are banged up too. Like you mentioned Saquon and Jones, but their wide receivers are banged up. So this 34-10, I think something you mentioned, that sounds about right. It's probably going to be between 30 and 35 points the Rams are putting up in this game. Even on the road, I think they could put up those kind of big numbers, and Giants just don't have it in them. So I'm with you. Rams minus 10.5. I'm going to lay the big number too.
Yep.
So no Jets this week. They are on the bye, thank God. So we have a different game we're going to pick instead. Cardinals-Browns. This should be a fun one. Who do you like here?
Yeah, Browns are favored by 2.5. Is that right?
3.
Okay, 3.5. So they're at home. So, you know, Vegas basically says this is an even matchup. And here's the thing: Arizona is the only 5-0 team in the NFL. They've had 2 dominant wins at Tennessee week 1. They won by 25, and then they won at the Rams 2 weeks ago by 17. In those 2 games, they looked phenomenal. But in the other 3 games, they haven't looked that great. They were lucky to beat Minnesota. They were outplayed that whole game, lost on the last second. Minnesota lost when their kicker missed the field goal at the end. Then they were trailing at Jacksonville. And last week they only won by a touchdown against the Niners with Trey Lance. So I don't think they're a dominant 5-0 team. I think they're a little overhyped. And I actually think the Browns are the more complete team. They have some injuries on defense. But the fact that they gave up 47 points last week at the Chargers, I actually like that, because now they're going back home and they'll be motivated to play well on defense. And before last week, they had only given up 34 points in the previous 3 games. So I think they have a really good defense. And Baker Mayfield, he has a shoulder injury, but I think he's going to show up in this game extra motivated against Kyler Murray, fellow Oklahoma quarterback. They both went number 1 back-to-back years. So I think this will be a great game. Maybe 30-24, 30-27. We could get a push here, but I'm going to go with the home team. I think the Browns are actually the better team. I think the Cardinals get their first defeat. So Browns -3.
Yeah, I'm with you again on this one. Browns -3 here too. For a lot of the reasons you just said, I understand the Cardinals are off to a 5-0 start, but didn't really play that well against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers went for it a bunch on fourth down and were unsuccessful. They kind of hung around and just, weren't really able to really bury them and put them away. Luckily, it was a low-scoring game, so they were able to, still win. But outside of some of their earlier performances, it really hasn't been as dominant. I know the 5-0 pops off the page, but you look at the two losses the Browns had. They had the Chiefs on the brink on the road, and then they were up in the fourth quarter against the Chargers. Probably should have won that game. Just defense melted down, and this defense is not that bad. I don't see them having another repeat performance. I know the Cardinals' offense has been good for the most part outside of last week, but I just think they bounce back. I don't think they fall to 3-3. I think they see the rest of the division and how that's kind of shaping out, and the pressure's kind of on. Where the Cardinals, they're 5-0. They have a little bit more wiggle room. So if they drop one, it's not as big of a deal. So I think the Browns are the more desperate team, and they come out on top. But I agree. I think you might see a push here with the number at 3. But I'm going to take the home team too.
Okay.
As for our game of the week, Chargers, Ravens. Ravens are favored by 3. Who do you like here?
Well, just to be clear, I'm an editor, so I'm going to edit you. Both of these games, in our opinion, are the games of the week. I actually think the Browns game is probably the better game because the Cardinals are 5-0. But this is like, game of the week 1A. So I guess I didn't have to say that, but I have to.
All good.
What's the spread here again? Ravens -3?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, see, when I first saw the spread, I was surprised, which is always like a warning sign that you're probably wrong. You never question Vegas, but I think the spread should be closer to a pick 'em. The Ravens, they're a weird team. They're 4-1, but they could easily be 2-3. But I don't know how they beat the Colts Monday night. That was a lucky win. And then against the Lions, they needed a record 66-yard field goal at the gun to beat the winless Lions. So I don't think this team is as good as the Chargers, but they're a good running team, and the Chargers haven't been great against the run. That could be an issue, but I just love what I see from the Chargers. Justin Herbert, I thought before the season he's a top 5 quarterback. He might be a top 3 quarterback right now. Other than Mahomes, like who are you building a franchise around for the next 10 years besides him? I think he's right there next to right after Mahomes.
True.
And the first year coach, the former Rams defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, has been so impressive. He went for it last week when they were down. I think it was the third quarter. He went for it on 4th and 3 from their own 24. There's guys who won't even go for 4th and 3 at the other team's 24. They set up for field goals. So he's so aggressive. Last week they were 3 for 3 on 4th downs, and for this season they're 7 for 7. So I think his play calling I think this will be a close game, and his play calling, his ability to go for it and not shy away from tough calls, I think will be a big factor in this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I see like a 35-31, 34-30. I think either team will either win by 3 or 4, something like that. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I just think the Chargers are a better team, and the way Herbert's playing and the way the Ravens have looked in some of these games, I don't trust them. So I like that I'm getting 3 points. So it could be a trap. Vegas knows more than us, but I'm going to go with the Chargers to not only cover the 3, but win the game outright.
Yeah, well, if it's a trap, I'll be right there with you in that trap too, because I like the Chargers as well. I agree. I was surprised by this. I thought it'd be more of a pick 'em or maybe like a 1 point in favor of the Ravens, but I agree with you, man. The Ravens are hard to figure out week in and week out. Last week got really lucky, came on strong with Indianapolis melting down in the way they did, and just the Chargers, man, they were resilient. I know they were the home team against the Browns, but that's a good Browns team that they beat, and they look really, really dangerous right now. So I'm going to pick the hot team. I know that might come back to bite us. It's happened before, but I just can't pick against this Chargers team. And getting points, I agree. I would take them on the money line, but if I'm going to take them against the spread, I'm going to do that too. So give me Chargers +3 as well.
Also, I meant to mention that they're 4-1, and their lone loss is a 3-point loss to the 4-1 Cowboys, and that was a game that had a ton of chances and made some mistakes near the goal line. So they could easily be 5-0, and Baltimore could be 2-3. So I think they're a better team.
Absolutely. How about a best bet this week, Joe?
All right, best bet. I'm going to go with one that most people probably are going to be a head scratcher, but I'm going with the Seahawks here on the road Sunday night I think they're getting 4.5. Is that right? At Pittsburgh?
Yes, 4.5.
Okay, so this is weird. So last week my best bet was Pittsburgh, right? And they won. And the week before my best bet was Green Bay against Pittsburgh. So I have a little pattern going on here, not on purpose, but just working out that way. So it's Green Bay against Pittsburgh, and at Pittsburgh, and I'm going against Pittsburgh. I think there's too much of a line change here. Before Russell Wilson got hurt, the look-ahead line was Seattle -2.5, and now it's Pittsburgh -4.5. So it's a 7-point swing. Now, obviously, Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and Seahawks should not be favored in this game, but it's 4.5 is just too many points. It's funny how the narrative changes. A week ago, Steelers were 1-3, had lost 3 straight. Offense couldn't do nothing. They beat in my opinion, a mediocre Denver team dealing with injuries. And now all of a sudden, what? The Steelers are back. I mean, they're 2-3. If they lose this game, I would not be shocked at all. They're giving 4.5. I think the spread should be 2.5 at 3 at most. I think the most likely outcome is Pittsburgh by 3. So I think 4.5 points is just feels like a gift. And Geno Smith, he's like a punching bag, pun intended, with what happened to him in New York. But people like picking on him. But he played really well last week. He actually moved the ball more than Wilson.
He did.
He's not Russell Wilson, but he played well. And like we talked about, that last pick, that wasn't even his fault. The receiver fell. So I think they've had extra preparation for this game, which helps with the backup quarterback. And the extra rest, the Steelers' offense, I don't think they're capable of scoring the 30. So, if they score 20, 23, 24, I think Seattle will be right there with them. I think it'll be a close game, 2017, 23-20. So I like getting 4.5 points. I think the Seahawks will cover, and it wouldn't even shock me if they won, because the extra rest, and they need to win to stay, competitive in the NFC West. So they're 2-3. So I think it'll be a close game. Seattle plus 4.5, best bet.
Okay, that's bold. I like it though. Going a little bit different. I'm gonna go with a team that's been struggling, but they're going up against a team that has some of their own issues, and I'm taking the Broncos -3.5 over the Raiders. Both these teams started 3-0. Both have lost 2 in a row. But just everything going on with the Raiders this week, having to change their coach, I don't love that at all. Broncos are the home team. Teddy Bridgewater, another week of getting a little bit more healthy. This to me just feels like a game that is going to be a roll over and die game for the Raiders, and maybe that comes back to bite me. I'm looking too much into the storyline here. But with the number being 3.5, I think that the Broncos could win by something like a 6 to 8 points, somewhere in that range. I think Derek Carr struggled a little bit the last 2 weeks, and going up against a tough defense in Denver, I don't think is great to remedy that. So give me the Broncos -3.5 as my best bet.
Yeah, I totally get that line of thought, and I'm sure most people will agree with you. That was my first line of thought, but I actually went with the Raiders in my picks column because I just don't like the half. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. And then my first thought was the same thing, too much of a distraction. But I don't know, if I was a player on the team, I'd be happy to get out there and try to change the narrative. So I can see them actually, showing up and having a big game. But who knows? It's hard to really get the team's mindset.
Absolutely. How about a underdog or an upset pick you like?
All right, so here we go. So I was originally going to do Seattle as my underdog. That way I can have maybe the Bills as my best bet, or the Chiefs. But I feel like both of us take too many favorites when we do the segment. Anyone can pick favorites. So I think give the viewer a couple dogs here. I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick a team that I said before the season started I was going to pick against them all year. The Detroit Lions, 0-5.
Okay.
Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Detroit Lions, 0-5, but they're 2-3 against the spread. And I like to make fun of Dan Campbell for that awful introduction conference when he was talking about getting guys kneecaps. And last week he cried a little bit. But I'm an emotional guy myself, so I don't knock him for it. I mean, this team has played to the end every week. I mean, they lost on last-second field goals. Interestingly, 19-17 defeats both games against the Ravens. And last week was the Vikings. And the Bengals, I mean, they're playing well, but this will be the fourth game against the NFC North. So they've already played the whole division by the end of week 6. And the previous 3 games all decided by 3 points. They beat the Vikings in overtime by 3, lost to Chicago by 3, and last week lost to Green Bay in overtime by 3. So I think it'll be another close game. Lions will lose, but I don't think they're going to get blown out. So I like getting 3.5, right? 3.5 spread?
Yep, 3.5.
Yeah, I think it'll be another 3-point game. I just think that they're playing really. I think the team will actually rally around Campbell he's the players' coach, it seems, and they're playing to the end. They should have beaten the Ravens. Still hard to believe.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, I had the Ravens and the Vikings as my survival pool picks in both those weeks. So the Lions have been good to me. I think they're going to play this game well. I mean, I don't think they're going to win, but I can see them losing by 1, 2, 3 points. I think it's going to be another close game. And considering that franchise's luck, maybe they'll lose on a 75-yard field goal. So Lions plus 3.5.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to go with a team that I don't really think has a chance of winning, but a team or a line, I guess, rather, that I just don't understand, and that's the Texans plus 9.5. I don't know. I don't think the Colts should be favored by 9.5 points over anybody, and Texans played pretty well. They gave the Patriots a run for their money, and who knows, maybe they come crashing back down to earth and the Colts win by 20, but after the Colts meltdown and then, the Texans playing tight, I don't know how this number could be as high as what it is.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, if the Colts had won that game, I think I may have laid the big number because I think, the 2-3, get to 3-3 and, win by 3 touchdowns. But you got to think that loss is going to carry over a little bit. So I agree. I think the number's too big. But it wouldn't shock me if they won, 28-10. But I think, like you said, a one-win team laying basically 10 points, it's a little too many. Similar to the Texans-Jaguars game in Week 1. Remember the Jaguars were favored?
That's right.
And we both were like, what's that about? So I think it's a good pick.
There we go. So let's run through these real quick. We are both on the Rams minus 10.5 over the Giants. We are both on the Browns minus 3 over the Cardinals. Both on Chargers plus 3 over the Ravens. My best bet, I'm going Broncos minus 3.5 over the Raiders. Joe is going Seahawks plus 4.5 against Pittsburgh. Underdog, I just said I'm going Texans plus 9.5 against the Colts, and Joe is going with the Lions plus 3.5 against the Bengals. So another week in the books, Joe. Hopefully it's not a 2-3 week for us, and it's a more positive this week.
I think it's going to be a good week for us.
Absolutely. So we'll talk again real soon.
All right, Matt. Great job. Thank you.